relationships. Of course, the Vedanta Sutra says Anandamayo Bhyasa, this sutra, this aphorism, that living entities are inherently blissful. They want to have fun. They want to taste pleasure. And so here we have it. In the spiritual world, living entities are all tasty and enjoyable. This is our nature. But the key is that propensity to want to experience ananda, to want to experience pleasure, it has to be connected with Krishna, because that's the only way it works, because that's how we're created. That's how we're wired, as parts and parcels of Krishna, as eternal, intimate, unique servants. Another relevant little aphorism verse from the Upanishads is Raso Vaisaha, that Krishna is the reservoir of rasa, of taste in relationships, of intimacy. So intimacy, again, the quality of being interesting, to have close association, personal association, to have detailed knowledge of someone, their personality, their character, their emotions, their preferences, to have a deep understanding of all of that. So this is what we're going for. This is what our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, coming down from Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, whose disappearance day it is today. So I'd like to kind of connect Ramananda Roy, this great devotee, and what he embodies and gave to us, and represents in the scope of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. And so it is said that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says that Mahaprabhu is like an ocean of transcendental knowledge, and Ramananda Roy, his intimate associate, who's an incarnation of one of Krishna's primary gopis, Ramananda Roy. So Mahaprabhu is like the great ocean of transcendental knowledge, and Ramananda Roy is the cloud who is manifested from that ocean, right? So just like clouds are created through water vapor rising from the ocean, so Ramananda Roy is the embodiment of the transcendental knowledge from Mahaprabhu rising into his being. And just as a cloud created, manifested from the ocean, distributes rain, distributes water all over through rain, so Ramananda Roy manifested in absorbing transcendental knowledge of devotional service through Mahaprabhu. He's showering down that mercy of transcendental knowledge on the world in this dark age of Kali Yuga through his contributions to the Parampara. So what's the problem here? If this is our natural essence as living entities, is to have an intimate relationship, to taste rasa with Krishna in the way that we relate with him, the way that we serve him. If it's natural, why is it not currently natural? Why are we having difficulties? Why is sadhana bhakti, Srila Prabhupada likes to use this language, why is it a war against our lower nature, a war against Maya, a war against illusory energy? So part of the problem, which we'll focus on today, is that relationships in this world can be very disturbing. Have we all had the experience of being hurt or having difficulty or miscommunications, conflicts, things that kind of cause us to withdraw, to feel discomfort, to feel suffering? And so we project that into spiritual life, into bhakti. And the kind of symptom of having difficulty in relationships, in material relationships in this world, is that we shy away from intimacy with just other living entities. Would speak of with Krishna, which we'll get to, but just with others in this world who we have relationships with. We can become conditioned to superficiality as a mode of protection, and that's really the disease that is afflicting the entire material world right now in Kali Yuga, is impersonalism. It's like Srila Prabhupada wrote in his own pranam mantra, this second verse, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. The Western countries and really the whole world are afflicted by Nirvishesha, impersonalism, and Shunyavadi, voidism, these conceptions, these tendencies of lacking intimacy or personalism or emotion, of really connecting to others as people and understanding and relating with them with the truth of what that really means to be a person, to have uniqueness and taste that we can offer in relationships. And so this widespread disease of impersonalism, it manifests the great symptom of ignorance, or you could also say it as ignorance, of ignoring our potential for what relationships actually can be with other living entities, if they're spiritualized and Krishnaized through keeping the Krishna factor there, and with Krishna. And so this is why, this is written in Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra, because we have this experience of suffering, of discomfort from relationships. We have those samskars that affect us, lead to impersonalistic tendencies, and this pain that we're apt to experience is projected into our conceptions of religion, of spirituality, of God. So this is why most religion in the world, most religion in Kali Yuga, in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, is predominated by an impersonal conception of God, of having this idea that God has no qualities, God is just energy, this projection that because to be a person means to have qualities means that we have relationships, that those qualities play out in. Relationships means, difficulty, conflict, hurt, pain, that, okay, God is transcendental to all that, so God doesn't have qualities. God is just pure energy, pure consciousness. And we understand from our acharyas and from logic, rationality, that for someone to truly be God, the supreme being, the supreme source of everything, that being has to have everything we could conceive of within our existence and more. So if we have people, personalities, differentiation in our existence, how could we say that God doesn't? That's to say that God is less than. So there's this type of impersonalism, and then there's also the more subtle impersonalism that we see manifest in religions and spiritual processes and practices, and that is Aishwarya, and this idea that, okay, God is the boss, he's the punisher, the controller. We're so low, God is up here. We can only have a certain kind of relationship with God, right? We hear this in Christianity to a great extent, in the Abrahamic religions. Just this lack of nuance and personalism in the types of ways that we can serve God, the ways that we can see God and understand the different levels to his inconceivable, unlimited nature. And so this big symptom of this disease of impersonalism that's pervading the world, this symptom of ignorance, of ignorance, means that we're ignoring the full extent of our potential as living entities to be servants of God. We're ignoring the beautiful sound of Krishna's flute, the splendor of Krishna's qualities, the sweetness of Krishna's names. And obviously, yeah, others who have no knowledge of that bhakti, that this process even exists, or what to speak of how much they're ignoring this. They have no conception, but what to speak of practicing devotees who are still struggling through these early stages of devotional service, struggling through anartha-nivritti. We still have this tendency to ignore Krishna, and ignoring means to not be conscious, right? It's just like take this example of a quality like empathy in relationships, that it needs to be practiced. It's something that it's not always so easy. One has to actually develop this ability to listen, to hear someone and their experiences and their emotions, and to literally pathos, feeling within, to feel that within, to be able to empathize, to relate with, to hold space for. And so oftentimes, it's even if we're conscious of knowing about Krishna and about devotional service, there can still be an unconscious ignorance, just like in relationships and interactions, we might not always fully show up with the topmost empathy because it's not fully developed, the ability. So in that way, we're ignorant of that experience. We're in that ignorance because we don't yet have the full capacity for it. So this gets to another nuance of our problem, of what's holding us back from experiencing the sweetness, this madhurya mood of Vrindavan in our practice of devotional service, in our relationship with Krishna. That oftentimes it's not so much, I heard this from one of my dear mentors, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, his realization that oftentimes for devotees, the problem isn't so much lack of sincerity, it's lack of experience. And we should be very aware of this, because if we get too much into this conception that we're insincere, of course, we need to be very vigilant to remain sincere. But if we're kind of having this misconception that, because I'm insincere, I'm so fallen, I have no chance to progress in my practice to be a proper devotee, that we can actually set ourselves up for discouragement and holding ourselves back from the mercy that's available. That rather the problem often is lack of experience. It's like Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, api chet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sara eva samantavya samyag vyavasito hi saha, that he's hitting on this point that even if one is going about following the path of sadhana bhakti, of devotional service, and they have some transgressions, that they're still a sadhu, they're still a saintly person, because there's sincerity, they're trying. The problem is lack of experience, that these strong conditionings from millions of lifetimes, these samskars of tendency to try to enjoy our senses and exploit the material energy, exploit relationships and other living entities might still be there, that devotee can be apt to have a setback. But if they're sincere, if they're trying to overcome that, then they're a saint. This talk about, magnanimous, Krishna's mood. And of course, Prabhupada speaks in the purport extensively that this isn't an excuse for a devotee to do any kind of nonsense, but it is a cause for encouragement and understanding just the weight of our conditioning, of our samskars, and the need to have experiences to fortify our ability to go deeper. And so, this is the key, is to remain sincere. Sincerity, as I heard it poetically described by His Holiness Damodar Swami, the ones that always stuck with me, that the essence of sincerity is the desire to really want the truth, to want to experience the truth. And so that sincerity, maintaining that, really comes down to the decision, to deciding, not just right now, not just 2 years ago, 20 years ago, however long ago we started on our journey of Krishna consciousness, but to decide every single day when we wake up, I am a devotee of Krishna. I'm practicing devotional service. I'm chanting Krishna's holy names. I'm giving my heart to Krishna, and choosing, acknowledging that, okay, there's only two options. I can either be subordinate to Maya, to Mahamaya, Krishna's material energy, Krishna's illusory energy, which makes us try to play the part of gods and try to control and exploit and enjoy. And as we've all experienced, we've gotten the opposite experience from that. It actually brings us suffering, of which we can't control. So acknowledging that you can either be under the control of Mahamaya or the control of Krishna, of Yogamaya, of Krishna's internal potency, like is discussed in the purport to this verse. Yogamaya personified, taking birth as the daughter of Yashoda in Vrindavan. So making the decision every day, recommitting our vows to ourselves, our vows to Guru, if we're at that place in our practice, our personal covenants and vows to Krishna about the ways in which we want to show up to our practice in our relationships with his devotees and with non-devotees, in the way that we interact with and give mercy to living entities, give kindness. And let's see. You want to know what the essence of the Bhagavad Gita is, as defined by Srila Prabhupada? I just read this the other day, came across it. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport to the famous verse 1866, where Krishna says, just surrender unto me, just give up all conceptions of becoming perfect through different types of dharmas, of processes. Just surrender unto me, accept me as everything, and I'll protect you from everything. I'll elevate you to this position of perfection of devotional service. So in Srila Prabhupada's elaboration on this verse, he says that the perfect transcendentalist is one who is attracted to Krishna. And this is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the solution of the disease of impersonalism. This is the medicine for the symptom of ignorance that everyone, except for the pure devotees who are fully, firmly reestablished in their relationship with Krishna, this symptom that everyone is experiencing. So the solution is to become attracted to Krishna, increasingly, perpetually. And it's important to understand that as living entities, we are sentient beings. Sentient means sentiment, feelings, right? This is why rasa is everything. Krishna, raso vaisaha, again, the embodiment of rasa, of taste, of flavors, of emotions in relationships. The reason why is because as living entities, we are sentient. And so the truth that follows this is that we are apt to act according to how we feel, even more so than based on what we think.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I had to get that in. No, I was gonna do it.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so as living entities, we are more apt to act based on how we feel, even over how we think, right? We can, this reminds me of Ganesham Prabhu's incredible class yesterday. He was, what was his phrase of, yeah, love is higher than knowledge, than philosophy. Who would dare put philosophy over love? And that Krishna consciousness is really love masquerading itself as philosophy. That really Krishna consciousness is love. Krishna consciousness isn't a philosophy. So one can be expertly, super proficiently learned in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, but if it's all just a knowing, an intellectual understanding of what's stated in Shastra, then they may not act on it in the way that someone who doesn't have hundreds of shlokas memorized, but has experience of feeling Krishna, feeling attracted to Krishna, will actually be a devotee and will manifest qualities of Vaishnavism with which to show up, to serve living entities in our relationships in this world, and with which to serve Krishna. So our duty is to open ourselves up to feelings of attraction for Krishna. And so we should ask ourselves constantly is, yeah, what do I need to do? How do I need to situate myself? How do I need to conduct myself? How do I need to organize my days and my activities and my engagements in order to keep Krishna as my primary need, right? There's secondary needs to take care of the body, take care of the mental health, all of these things. And ultimately, our primary need is for relationship with Krishna, to have love for Krishna. That's the essence of all suffering, is that. So as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would always say, that that's the only thing lacking in the world is Krishna consciousness. Nothing else is lacking. No material resource, no mundane knowledge, science. So how can we take care of our secondary needs so that we have the space, the capacity to keep Krishna as our primary need? So this is the mode of goodness. In the 14th chapter, the 6th verse, the chapter on the modes of material nature, Krishna is describing the mode of goodness facilitates sukha, it conditions one to sukha, or happiness. Literally means ka, this suffix means space, like ether, and su means very, like it's a, it emphasizes, so very good space, sukha, happiness, as opposed to dukkha, right, suffering, bad internal space. So how can we set ourselves up to be sukha, to have the expansiveness, the space within, the comfort, the peacefulness to go on keeping Krishna as our primary need, keeping our desire strong to develop attraction to Krishna, right? We can pray every night, every morning, Krishna, please let me feel feelings of anticipation towards my endeavor to chant your holy names, my sadhana, to read and hear about you. And so, yeah, there's no shortcut to this. It's like the difference between getting a degree and getting an education, right? I have an undergraduate degree, but I wouldn't necessarily say that I got an education because it was very external. I took a lot of shortcuts and, cramming for exams and these kinds of things. The knowledge goes in and it goes out. But an education is when you're really embodying and internalizing knowledge that you're learning, when you're not putting knowledge above experience. And experience is reality, and reality is love. So love, again, as Ganesham Prabhu was saying, love is always above knowledge. And yeah, maybe to conclude, I wanted to try to tie this all together by again referencing Ramananda Roy on his auspicious disappearance day, the great associate of Mahaprabhu, and how he sums up some of these points in his meeting, his original meeting with Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago. Mahaprabhu was asking Ramananda Roy, please tell me about the goal of life, the goal of existence. And Ramananda Roy was quoting so many different verses, and Mahaprabhu kept saying, yeah, that's nice, that's all right, but I know you have something else for me. And so this is part of the culmination of what Ramananda Roy shared with Mahaprabhu, was this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. One second. Here we are. All right. So can you all see the screen? This is Bhagavatam 10:14-3. This verse is quoted by Ramananda Roy to Mahaprabhu in his discussions with Lord Chaitanya. So I'll read the translation. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, words, and mind offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. So this is the essence of what we're doing here. What's been given to us by Srila Prabhupada is that Krishna is not conquered by any amount of knowledge of, what's speculative knowledge and endeavor to intellectually understand him. Krishna is conquered by love, and love is developed by dedicating ourselves to hearing about Krishna, to working from whatever position we're in life, right? It says here, even while remaining situated in whatever established social position, but just keeping Krishna as the center, accepting our insignificance, that we can't conceive, we can't power our way into understanding and experiencing our relationship with Krishna through our intellect. It's something that we have to experience through hearing, through love, through dedication. And there's, let's see, one part in the purport I'd like to read really quick. Okay. The word Jivanti indicates that a devotee who always hears about Lord Krishna will go back home, back to Godhead, even if he can do nothing except maintain his existence and hear topics concerning the Lord. So just go on hearing. If we can just keep hearing, not offend devotees, we open ourselves up to become purified, to experience attraction to Krishna, and to taste the sweetness of intimacy in our relationship with Krishna. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Forgive me for not leaving any time for questions or reflections. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you so much. Sorry we didn't have time for Q&A, but we still love you. We know you're there. Hare Krishna. Thanks for showing up to your practice. It's very inspiring. And have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day. Don't put philosophy over love. Okay, Hare Krishna.